Hi, nice to meet you. Today we have Tom Sanderson, that's CEOpen Mike. We're gonna have little conversation, CEO to CEO conversation in the iGaming sector. But before we jump into it, Toms, you seem like a guy who goes to gym a lot. Is that true?
I do a bit, and it's much later time than you have. I already had a full day, but I managed to squeeze in some training. So right before our podcast, I
Right.
managed to do some training. Yeah,
Is it you just go to the gym or is it like any sport that you do?
it's actually gym takes too much time, so I just have some weights at home. I have some
Right.
space where I can do it. So when I'm returning from the office, we have to pick up my daughter. Then after that, have to squeeze in some time. So I have to do it at home just to save some time, basically.
I could call it a little bit like a pandemic style
It,
of training.
it actually, believe it or not, but it started as for many other people, I guess, projects and different tasks started during pandemic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would love to say the same, but no. I was just lazy couch potato during the whole pandemic right now. So yeah. How long are you in the industry? Like, when did you start? What's the story?
It actually started like a while ago. I was thinking, someone asked me the same question, and I didn't realize actually that it's been so long time. And I think it should be around 10 years now since I've been in specifically live dealer industry. Soon, on the 1st of January, the company will celebrate 5 years. So, as an independent company, we've been 5 years already in the market.
5 years. Wow. So you made it for startup hell, right? So you survived the first year. You're still alive.
Yes, still
But
alive. Yeah.
before you created your own company, because you are the founder basically, and we're gonna get to that point in a minute. But
Mhm.
before I saw on your LinkedIn that you were working as an employee. You started as a customer support representative, then risk analyst.
Mhm.
Is that so? Like, what brought you to the industry?
I think like what brought me was the interest of the games themselves. I would say it's already uh, we have to look back into my childhood if we have to find the exact reason. I think it's thanks to my grandfather. We used to play like a lot of board games and cards and etc. At one point, he was doing security, like already when he was retired, he was doing security for the racetrack in the city
That
that
explains.
my grandmother and grandfather lives. And then me and my brother, we just went there and played cards with the grandfather. So it was a lot of games in the childhood. So I was always interested.
Right. So basically, you never got into industry. You were born in the industry.
Born pretty much.
Gotcha. Gotcha. But you did not start as a founder or CEO, right?
No. I think I went through quite some learning road, and I think it's good for like basically after you have been an employee for a while, you also recognize like how it is, and then maybe you can try to fix some of the parts that felt bad for you as an employee for your employees.
Are you saying that your main motivation was that you wanted to create a better working place for employees?
It's actually very important for me. Definitely, it's not about making the most profit, which is obviously also important for any company,
Of
but
course.
it's also about giving like a good place to work for the employees for sure.
So how do you define a good place to work? Like, what are your values?
One of them is just listening to what what the employees are saying. Um, in example, we understand since I have been a risk analyst myself. In example, I understand I would say negative parts, like difficult parts of being an analyst. Sometimes the job can be more or less routine, And in example, what we did as an initiative, we basically all our employees to participate in different projects where they can, work and basically make the company better, like do their part to bring up company. So it's about individual projects, and then yeah, the rest is just the environment,
Mm,
a good environment, healthy environment, making events, etc.
mm. Well, from my perspective, one of the very underestimated things is what I would call the vibes in a company. So that, you
Exactly.
know, do you feel nervous on Sunday night, or are you afraid to go to your boss and say that you did not do it, whatever the task was?
Mhm.
So yeah, I do agree.
This is this is something actually that I also historically learned when I played the football. I had a coach that was a very good friend outside of the work, like outside of the field. You could laugh, and etc. But then again, if you messed up in a game, if your attitude wasn't like it's supposed to be, then you could get some bad words from him as well.
Yeah,
So I think it's how it should be. Like we should be friends. We shouldn't be like someone no one can speak with or can approach,
mm,
and or someone should be afraid of it. We're open, but we also, since we give a lot to the employees, we also demand the results, and that's how it should be. I think.
yeah, yeah. My philosophy in that area is that you should be a little bit like a parent, a nice parent, so that people should not be afraid to go to you and
Mhm.
confess whatever they have to confess.
Yeah.
But then again, you cannot uh, just be friends, right? From time to
Yeah.
time you have to be the one to tell them that, hey, that should be the other way around, right?
Mm,
You misbehaved. So, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So how many people do you have right now?
In total, we are 11.
11.
11.
Okay.
Yeah, half of them are a bit less than half are analysts,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
we have different positions as well.
All right. So assuming since you're at home, so I assume you guys work remotely, like 100% remotely, or is that true?
It's not true. It's the benefit that I get. So sometimes I do work from home.
Okay.
Sometimes I can run a bit faster away from the office, but then again, due to speciality of our business, since we work with the data, we work with the sensitive data. Unfortunately, we cannot afford even hybrid. We have
Yeah.
to take like all of the precaution to secure clients' information.
Gotcha. All right. So, as everybody knows, in that podcast, we focus on CEOs as a person. So, Tom's is a most important topic of the day, but we cannot do it without saying a few words about your company. Uh, so,
Yeah.
what you do, what do you provide to the market?
So, Live Gaming Solutions is a company that specialize in three like main. We have three main product verticals. One of them, and with which what we started the business with, is fraud services. By fraud, I mean we analyze the players' betting behavior. We detect the players like card counters, shuffle trackers, the ones that predict segments on the wheels, place opposite betting, and then we do also integrity analytics to make sure that the equipment is all right, and let's say there are no issues with a shuffle. Then we also do BI, business intelligence. That's I think should be understandable for most of the listeners. But we do like full scale, starting from setting up the database till like fully developed reports, already ready products. And our newest product is live casino game show concept. Very interesting product actually, and super excited to do it. We basically come up with a game show concepts for the live dealers, and by concepts I mean we do the mathematical part, we do the studio visualizations, game logic, we do game documentation. We can also support the studio part while we look for a partner that is willing to develop one of those games. Very briefly.
Very brief, I suppose, as every CEO, you could just talk and talk like for
Yes,
days.
all day.
I get it. I'm the same. Um, uh, who are your clients?
At this point, we work with most of the leading live dealer providers, but with the BI, and BI is also a relatively new product, and with the BI and game shows, we look forward to work with slot companies, RNG companies, basically any company that develop casino games. And with the fraud, we also actually are right now thinking about ways how we can support directly operators, not only live dealer as a platform, but directly.
Got it. So, my understanding is that you want to work out your position in the market not only by obtaining new clients, but basically through partnerships, right?
Yeah, yeah. I believe partnerships is a very good way how to for companies that are not like established, big already in the market. How if there are common grounds, great way how to succeed, develop together.
Yeah, yeah. I have the same approach. However, I have a feeling that on the iGaming sector, not really everybody think that way.
Yep.
That's at least my impression.
Yes, that's a challenge. I agree with you. To
Yeah.
change the
Uh,
mindset. Yeah.
yeah. Just to make sure, when you talked about the fraud part of the business, fraud analytics and I suppose prevention as well.
Mhm.
Is it, do you have in mind the physical casinos or the online casinos or both?
It's physical live dealer studios. So
Okay.
whatever studio, let's say, probably most familiar is going to be Evolution Gaming. Right now, actually, in the market, there have been quite a boom with new studios as well.
I know some of them, so yeah. um, all right. So just to close the part about live gaming solutions, if you were in just one sentence to say what makes your company different than all the competition, like what's the USP? Why is your company going to be the best in the world to work with rather than all the rest?
First of all, with some of the services, but it's not going to be one sentence though. Let
Okay.
In a one sentence, we are one of the rare ones that really appreciate partnerships. We are very honest with our clients, and this is also like historically, for from my experience, being fair and being honest with your clients is very important. And sometimes you might think that by being honest you take a step back, but in fact it just strengthens the relationship. Even if those are bad news, you should be fair and come forward.
So simple yet so rare on the market, right?
Rare, yeah.
So coming back to you as a CEO and you, Tom's as a person, uh, where would you like to bring your company? Like 20 years from now, uh, where are you on the market? Which market is that? Why are there?
uh, I would say that the ultimate target would be to be a live dealer provider ourselves. I think we have all of the capabilities and knowledge to do it, to have our own studio, to have create our own games. Then fraud wise, we can make sure that they are not going to be abused. We can deliver beautiful reports, and also a lot of employees in the company have quite operational experience, so they are well aware how to operate the live dealer as well.
How do you pursue that goal? I mean, do you have any daily routines that, or maybe on purposely you don't have any daily routines that bring the company upwards?
Besides waking up, checking the emails. Uh, I wouldn't say that my job as the CEO is very routine. It's actually quite uh, chaotic in regards to the tasks that have to be done. Not that much of them are routine. Maybe it's because we are like relatively small company, so we are, and I am involving myself in a lot of like daily projects as well, daily tasks. An example with the math. Uh, Myself, I'm also participating a lot.
Is that on purpose? I mean, do you want it that way, or are you forced to 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 work that way?
I think at this stage it's more or less forced. Like in a long run, I think for the majority of the CEOs, the target is to have already, working mechanisms that already work independently, and you basically just take some general decisions. But while you are at smaller level, you have to involve yourself a lot as well.
Mm. I'm asking because I can't help to notice that most C-level or basically even founders, they tend to organize their days like they were robots. So I can see them priding themselves that their calendar is like fit to every 10 minutes, and they have those routines that they wake up 5 a.m., then 1 hour gym, then 1 hour meditation, then 3 hours conceptual thinking, all that, all that, all that. And frankly speaking, I'm in a business for 20 years. I tried to work that way, but I could not. Uh, and for me, the biggest value of us, of founders, of people who decided to take the risk, is that we are creative. I mean, we are not afraid to take the risk. We are creative. We look for the ways on the market, and from that perspective, if we take away from ourselves that creativity space and we put ourselves into frames, then it could be more efficient in terms of Excel. But is it more efficient in terms of business development and growing your business? Uh,
Yeah, I completely agree with you actually, because for me personally, it's also the same. I'm working more like just having the tasks that I have. I have them prioritized, and then the day goes. I would say quite chaotic, because you might be picked up by someone where you have to spend like an hour or 2 hours in a call, in the discussions. Moreover, we are in such a business where the fraud can happen, and you're involved. And you simply, even physically, if you want to stick to the schedule, it's impossible. So
that's true.
it's a chaotic day for me as well. I would say.
Speaking of developing the business, how do you see development, especially the part of frauds? Do you think your company will grow in such a way that you will have more and more people which handle more and more cases? Or is it more towards AI or some kind of automated tools? What's your impression on that?
It's both, I would say, and that's probably the right answer for the most of the companies, to whomever you might ask the question. I think the human involvement is always going to be needed. But then again, obviously, some of the parts can be automatized, and this is also what we do. We have our own like, custom built back office, where we try to automatize the processes as much as we can. So, in example, report creation, you don't need to write the report by the hand. Well, they can be automatically generated, and they are overlooked by the employees. Like the right answers are selected, and that's it. And then your report is ready, and you can send it out. And it is like that with, I think, every parts of the business. What can be done should be done by the AI.
All right.
But yeah.
So do you think it's possible that or maybe you do it already to detect the frauds using only AI? Does it happen, or we are still not yet in that?
There is still some verification needed in our case, but I would say even before the AI, how the detection method worked is that we were looking for specific patterns in players' betting pattern. Basically, we were seeking for specific ones. And then the analysts already had a list of the players that they need that are suspected in any kind of fraud or advantage play, and then they are already manually analyzed. So I would say we already had that part like partly automatized. Otherwise, it would be impossible to check every player's
Right.
betting pattern. But touching the fraud, it's actually what I wanted to mention. And you asked also how I see like further growth of the fraud part. And we are actually in a very interesting situation right now, where and why we decided to go with approaching the operators directly, because speaking with them, we understood that a lot of them are more or less in a hostage situation. They are quite blind in regards to whether the player is safe or not. I even know that in example crypto casinos, a lot of them have their own chats where they speak with each other and ask if you know anything about this player or that player. So there is a lot of uncertainty going on, and this is also because not all of the game providers have their own fraud services. And then again, the operator always have the doubts if the provider is really, being honest there and telling the truth, because for the operator it's very difficult to prove something went wrong there, and this player won illegitimately.
That's a surprising part. Did you just say that not all operators do the fraud detection? Is that what you said?
That's for sure, and it's like very like not all of the providers do have fraud services. In fact, some of our historical clients, this is how we got them. Basically, if they didn't recognize, if they didn't believe us initially that we stated that you have to have these services, then after they have cases that they don't know how to handle,
Yeah,
they come up running to you and saying, "Thomas, please help.
yeah.
We
When
want
it's
our."
already too late, right?
When it's too late, and I'm always telling that then at that point it's not only about the finance you have lost, but I think the reputational part is even more important.
That's true. So my expectation is that, uh, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but my expectation is that most of your clients, uh, they got to you when they were in trouble, and then they stick to you for the rest of their lives, right?
It's pretty much true. It's actually quite funny because there are persons that we have worked with, let's say, with three different providers, in example. So they switch the provider once again, some key position where they can take the decision or convince the board that that the fraud is needed, and then we basically start to work with another company, but the same person. So those
Yeah,
ones that have faced, yeah, it is like that. But then there is also an operator part. So operators, their fraud teams will mostly be related to the banking fraud, to the like transactions, payments, etc. So they simply will not have the knowledge to understand if this pattern is okay or not. And even for, I would say, even for some of the providers that have their own fraud team, in a lot of these cases, like it's very rare that there's going to be someone really understanding how like cheating and advantage play looks like and how to detect it. It's true, yeah.
yeah. So you are in the position where, since you work with a number of operators and you've seen a number of situations, you are actually also acting as a kind of consultant, right? So it's not only the
Hmm.
service that you provide, but that's also the knowledge that, hey, I've seen the things that you never saw, and
Yeah.
you don't want those things to happen, right?
Yes, that's totally like that, and that's especially, I would say, especially with new games that are coming in to the market. Those ones are very very tricky. That's why probably it is very exciting time for me, because both like fraud wise and game concept wise, it's a very challenging time. You know,
Mm.
because previously we did understand what does card counting means, how to fight against it, shuffle tracking. Okay, let's add shuffle machine and forget about it and setter. But now with the new games, there are a lot of angles. And just maybe to give you an explanation, you can imagine the roulette wheel, and there I have seen numerous times players that can predict the segments of the roulette wheel where the ball is going to land with the softs. And you can imagine those are like two physical values that go on the opposite side. So you have the ball and you have the rotor, right? And they both are traveling on the opposite sides, but you still manage to predict the segment. But let's say with the game show wheels, you just have simple wheel and the flapper, and that's it. So there's a simple one value that will spin and stop at one point. So you can imagine what are the risks there. I think no one will admit it, but I think a lot of live dealer providers knows that it is a tricky part they have, and I assume those ones that are not our clients have maybe faced some issues with it. I'm quite confident that it has been tricky.
How do you paint the picture of a typical fraudster? Is that a hacker? Is that a mathematician? Is that a psychologist? Is that a, I don't know, what kind of person is that, or group of people?
I think they can be divided into two parts. Like I'm trying to remember the name of this. Like even with the crimes, you know, there were ones that are planned and ones that are conditional, or what was the word? Like basically, it happened just because of.
Random. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we are mostly focusing on those ones that are doing it professionally. And without a doubt, I can say that those are people that specialize specifically of trying to abuse the casinos, trying to win. It's clearly, it's very obvious because we even know like several groups from the countries which do specialize in specific fraud. Finnish guys, if they're listening, hi to them. They are doing the shuffle tracking very well and good job. And and yeah, even with the bankrolls, you know, the most advanced ones are operating with millions of bankrolls, and you can understand that it's not a hobby for someone. You know, after the shift you come and try to abuse the casino. It's not like that. It's already professional.
Okay, so they're not like amateurs who are sitting somewhere in the basement and just testing some simple math models. It's
No, no, no. It's very well organized. It's very well organized, and I think I truly believe that it's not even it's the same way as operating a business. I mean, I could also create such business. I mean, I could create an office space. Let's say, try bring up people, and have the meetings.
seriously.
Yeah, to test the games, etc. It's I think that's how they operate.
But that made me realize that, not that I wish it to you, but if for any reason what you do right now would go down, I think I
Yeah.
know your next step.
No, I've been actually like partly on the dark side, but it's nothing illegal. But then again, during the student years, I used to do actually some card counting, and I did abuse the bonuses as well. So I've
Did you
seen,
just
I've,
say it
I've
loud? Different people might be listening to us, so be
it's
careful.
okay. It's okay, and I'm not hiding it. I know how it works, but then again, if we speak about like seriously about the times when we have our own company, it's for us. It's definitely about the reputation, and we would never, ever cross the line with
Of course.
clients' information or having some kind of advantage ourselves just because we have had and we have thousands of opportunities to do that, but we would
Mm.
never cross it. This is
Yeah.
why maybe now you can better understand why I stated that, like, honestly, and honesty is very important, and having these relationships is very important for us.
In this business, it's enough to make a mistake just once, and you can close the business, right? I mean, you can feel the temptation and just pursue the temptation, and it's done. It's,
No, it has to be a lifestyle, I guess, and it's not a lifestyle that I want to live. Um, to
how about
stress
your
about the payments and
yeah? How about your employees then? Uh, you are you are the founder, and obviously you follow the some principles, but I can imagine at some point you're gonna have like 200, 500 employees. uh aren't you scared that some of them might be tempted at some point?
I guess first of all we do a very good background checks before we're since at this volume, especially when we are small, we have had feedback about any employee that have joined the company before we even asked for an interview. And then again, like our system, our tools are based on the way that they are detecting the fraud, but and then again they have no like opportunity to uh, to do it themselves. Like, we are cross-checking the players detected the high winners in example. Once again, speaking about the parts where we are, like, management is involved. Me myself, I personally also go over any player that have won like higher amounts.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, obviously that I'm in the development part of the business, which means that of course we have to check if our developers are not placing any kind of factors or anything like that.
Mm.
But I think with what you deal with is like even higher level.
Yeah, I mean, what helps us, I guess, is that actually like our analysts, they know the consequences of their actions as well,
Mm,
and that's actually what is missing for a lot of like live dealer operational people. That's also something like, I don't know what happened, but it's lately also a trend that I have heard about. I've seen some collusion cases uh, where employee is actually involved in impacting the game outcomes, and I think rarely they understand that it's actually they can be criminally charged in most of the countries
mm,
by doing that. It's a pure financial crime. Well, you might, for a lot of them, I think they think somehow abstract that it's it's some kind of operator that have this money and it's somewhere there, and then you receive the winnings, when in fact it's an actual money, and you make financial fraud to gain benefits to you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very easy to, at some point, to think it's just some
Yeah,
virtual game, right? Like a joy. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I think
Absolutely.
in a lot of cases, I feel that that's the case when the person actually don't realize what can happen if they do something
Hmm.
illegitimate.
All right. You don't have to answer that question, but did you have this kind of situation with any of your employees or not?
With my
Or
employees,
I don't want to
no,
say not yet,
never.
but okay.
No, 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 no. With our employees, I think they clearly understand the risks as well
Mm,
and
gotcha,
consequences.
gotcha, gotcha. All right. The other thing I wanted to ask, because we focused mostly on the fraud part of your business. Uh, so how did it happen that at some point you said, "Hey, let's design games. Let's have a you know." I don't want to say the fraud detection and fraud handling is not creative, but to come up with a new game, to come up with whole new logic of the game and the mathematic model of the game, it's like a it looks like a whole different story, right? So what brought you there?
I would say that it is somehow connected, like with the analytics and everything, but it started mostly because there were incoming requests for us to check the logics of the games for some of the new products that our clients were creating, and just making sure that they work fine. And then, since I've been good with the numbers all the time, with the analytical mindset, I was always thinking, maybe you could, change this and change that in that game, make how to make it better. I like to test out all of the new products myself, to have the feel how it looks from the player side. And it was sitting in my mind for a very long time. But then Keith, our CEO of the Live Product Solutions now, back in when was it, in the last year, he had the same ideas, but at that point we about creating like unique games, developing a game show concept. But back then we didn't know that we both have them, uh, like similar thoughts. And then I've heard, I can't remember who mentioned me that, but it was in the ice. In February, someone mentioned me that, I just met Keith and he had some ideas about the game shows. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because that was sitting in my mind for a while. And then I just after the show, I called Keith and told me, tell me what's on your mind. He briefly explained. I
There
said,
you go.
shared my thoughts, and like 2 weeks later, he was in Riga, and we were already discussing how we could create something. And he and me already had some ideas about the games, and yeah,
That's
things
amazing, man.
escalated fast then.
Yeah, yeah. Things happen. Yeah, yeah. I have a feeling that half of business in the global iGaming sector happens on ice. You're not the
Yeah,
first person to say that.
yeah. No, I knew Keith for a very long time, but it was I can't remember with. I think it was someone from ESA that I was speaking with. That yeah, and they mentioned that Keith was passing by our stand, and
Mm.
thank you for that person.
That's amazing. Speaking of which conferences you gonna attend that year? Do you already have plans?
Conferences are challenges, I think. Nowadays, so many of them. Next one, definitely Sigma Malta. We're gonna have a small stand as well. I can advertise a bit. Whoever is interested, just pass by, have a chat with us. And then, as the next one, obviously, we're gonna do Ice London. The last London, can't
That's
miss it.
amazing.
Yes, that's,
That's gonna be
it's
epic.
gonna be
Yeah,
it's gonna be epic and nostalgic after a while.
yeah.
And we have decided actually to go to Rio as well as BC as the next event on March.
Oh,
First time, first time visiting Latin America related. Uh,
does it reflect your desires to be shown on the Latin American market, or is it that everybody from Europe and States go there, so you're basically pursuing your like existing client base?
it's more about maybe seeking for new opportunities, because even with the live dealers, we are mostly operating with working with the live dealers that operate in the Europe market. Some of them a bit outside. We have a client with Asian clients as well. but but I think we have to move to new markets. We visited the Philippines this year, and we had some great conversations, new friends, new opportunities, new leads. So that went well, and we were just thinking we should, move to the next continent then.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So looks like our jobs create opportunity for us to see basically whole world,
The
right?
Yes,
Did you do
yeah.
any sightseeing? Did you have time for any sightseeing when you were on Philippines?
Mm, it was more or less inside Manila. We had a small stand there as well, and there were only two of us, so we had actually a lot of preparing to do. But
Oh,
Manila wise, yeah, we traveled a bit and had some fun there.
oh yeah, that's one of the benefits of our jobs, right?
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Tom Sanderson's. Thank you for the conversation. We're definitely gonna meet on Sigma, which is in a month from now. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Definitely, I would like to say thank you for giving the opportunity to participate. It was very interesting, always interesting to speak about the trends of the industry, and looking forward to meet everyone in the Sigma.
All right. Thank you so much, and guys, don't miss the next episode of our podcast. Thank you.